Wonderful.
Lost
Okay.
Joe.
So welcome everyone. Welcome to Cinderella, new squat about dating and relationships. Don't you love our title?
Thanks to Lana. That was
Lana
brilliant.
comes up with these great titles. Yeah, so just to let you know, if you guys want to interact at any point, if you want to leave a comment or just, you know, completely disagree with everything we say today, feel free to put something in the chat, you know, push back at us, you know, just let us hear your voices, and we'd love to hear from you. So for those of you who do not know us, oh, by the way, I am Linda Ford, and for those of you, we're going to do a little intro here, but if you don't know us, we are three coaches who love to talk about women, confidence, and dating, and just women feeling powerful, right? And so great, serious conversations, but we also like to have fun. And so, I mean, if you can't have fun and can't laugh at yourself, what's the point, right? We human beings, we need to be able to laugh at ourselves and the stuff that we get up to, the antics we get up to. So we hope we can all have a bit of a laugh, as they say in England, throughout the next half hour or so. Yeah, I am a coach. Obviously, I've been working as a coach over 10 years now. And so I'm going to hand Lana, you introduce yourself, and then Del. And
hi, I'm Lana Bastianuti. I thought, Linda, you were going to stop at "we like to talk," period. Yeah, I'm a coach too, almost 10 years, and love doing this work. And we're here to sort of shine a light on a lot of things women kind of misunderstand about dating, and the myths that are out there that are kind of subliminal and hanging around that I've fallen prey to as well. And I know these ladies have as well. So we're going to just shine a light on some of this stuff and then introduce some things to you. Del, your turn.
My turn. Okay, great. Well, I'm a 3 principles coach practitioner, and yeah, I specialize in narcissistic abuse and codependency, and I have no idea why I specialize in that. I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted here. I have to admit somebody else. Yeah, my life experience taught me a lot about that, and that's why I love to help women that are struggling and that don't recognize the red flags that are definitely predictable and out there. So that's what I bring to the conversation. And again, and I coach regular people too, not people suffering from codependency or narcissistic abuse, but just love the work that we share, the 3 principles, and excited to be here with you all.
Yeah, and if you don't know, Lana and I usually work together. We've actually written a book, Women in Confidence. You can't see it. There we go. There you go. And so we wanted to put, we've actually put a workshop together, which we'll mention a little bit later. And we deliberately, you know, we kind of knew about Del and her work with narcissists and codependency and gaslighting issues. And we thought, oh, we need to bring her in on this. So that's how we all kind of came together. And she kind of adds this dark aspect to it all. And, you know, we just love her, how she contributes to this. So that's who we are. Now, I belong to another Facebook group, which is run by my Irish cousin who lives in Wales. And it's called Banter for Adults. And she posted something the other day that I kind of thought was really funny. She actually asked, she posted something and it got a really good response. And I thought we could start off by doing that. Asking that question. And the question that she asked everyone was, how would you describe the history of your love life with the title of songs? Right? So what songs would you choose? Like if you looked back over your life and thought about the major relationships that you've had, you know, what song would you use to describe either the relationship or the person you were with, what you were going through at that time. And some of the comments that I read on her group, they were hilarious. So I thought we could just start by, we're going to share ours, and if you have any that you'd like to share, you can put them in the chat, because we all want to have a good laugh. Lana, why don't you take the lead on this? What did you come up with?
Okay, so I'm kind of the anomaly in the group because I met my husband when we were in high school, believe it or not. But it was the last year of high school, and it was in Canada, so there are actually 13 grades in high school there. So it was really grade 13, which could be, first year university. So let me just say that. But we had a whole history. So when we decided, okay, everybody pick 5 songs that kind of represent your own experience. So this is how I started. Our relationship started with "You're the One That I Want," Grease. Then it went to "Dreams" by Cranberries, that song. And then we broke up. So it was "Walk Away" by Ben Harper. But it didn't last long. We got back together, and it was "Signed, Sealed, Delivered, I'm Yours," Stevie Wonder. And then we had kids. And I have to be quiet because one's here. And it was Annie Lennox, "Walking on Broken Glass," because that was like painful. It was a real adjustment for us. And then now the stage we're in is kind of like Sonny and Cher, "I Got You, Babe." So that's my experience.
Very good. Love it. I love some of the people who are sharing "You're So Vain." That was one of mine, actually. I love that, Carly Simon. And the other one was
Another
what
one
was it?
Another one bites.
Another one bites the dust. Okay, Del, take it away.
Okay, so me, I love that. You said I'm the dark one. Well, this is going to protect you. So my first one I wrote that I remember was "Foreigner," "Waiting for a Girl Like You." And I just was like, my self-esteem was so in the toilet. I just wanted to be that special girl. So that was one of mine. And then if I got into a relationship, I tended to sort of be maybe a little obsessive about them. And if the relationship ended, my song for that was Sinead O'Connor's "Nothing Compares to You." So I'm still living that one. There's
Drama queen, yeah.
Exactly, total drama queen. And then to sum up pretty much a lot of my relationships, I would just say Robbie Robertson's "Somewhere Down the Crazy River," because they were all crazy. And then Duffy, "Mercy," "Begging for Mercy." That's when I was in the throes of my narcissistic relationship. And then when I got out of that and started to date again, it was Ray LaMontagne's "Trouble," because I still kept getting into trouble. So, and then as I started to get a little healthier, it was John Mayer, "I Don't Trust Myself with Loving You."
Oh gosh.
Still needed a little work there. And then eventually, when I really found myself, it's Katy Perry's "Raw." So.
Oh gosh, yeah.
That was me. So that was my journey. How about you, Linda?
Okay, so mine kind of date a little bit. Rolling Stones, "Under My Thumb." Now, that is the most sexist song. It's about a guy saying, "You're under my thumb." And I don't know what it is about that song, but I just love it, even though it's totally obnoxious and sexist. The other one was "Walk On By," Dionne Warwick. That's kind of like, when you broke up with the guy, but you see him across the street, walk on by, total victim. Cilla Black, any British people here? Cilla Black was big in the 60s, right, Karina? Okay. Anyone Who Had a Heart? Oh my God, that song, total victim. If you had a heart, you wouldn't break my heart, right? And then "You're So Vain" was the one I picked also, because I used to date this guy. His name was Nick. I ended up calling him Nick the Prick because he was such a prick, and so that song was for him.
I had one of those.
So Karina says, "Here's where the story ends," the Sundays. Okay. And then the last one, when I met my husband now, my wonderful husband now, is it was our song when we met, and it was Sting's A Brand New Day. And that was all about, you know, it's actually the inspiration where I got the inspiration for the title of our workshop, A Brand New Way of Dating, is that when you have all these experiences, like we've shared what we've been through the song titles, right? You kind of see what you've been through. Your heart's been broken. You've been tossed around. It's quite a roller coaster ride, isn't it? Throughout your 20s, 30s, 40s, whatever you're experiencing, 50s, 60s. And you kind of, some of us, we've had our hearts really broken. And, you know, it's like, why would you want to put yourself through all of that again, right? Why would you trust? Why would you take the risk to love again? So that was a song for me that really spoke to me, is that there's a brand new day on the other side, right? And so it's really just really interesting to see how we resonated with certain lyrics, and when we were feeling sad and broken, we would gravitate towards those songs even more and go further down that rabbit hole, right? To really indulge it. I know I used to do that a lot. And there's nothing wrong with grieving. That's perfectly fine. But I used to kind of overdo it and really go down into those songs. So anyway, that's I think that's quite revealing. But one thing that we have all noticed throughout our 10 years of coaching is that we have come across so many women who are really smart, really sweet, really, you know, just they've got careers, they've got a paycheck, they've got good friends, they are kind, you know, they're loving. And yet this one particular area of dating and trying to find a partner really evades them. And, you know, a lot of them give up. It's just become a very stressful endeavor for them to actually pursue, to try and find someone. So it just kind of stood out to us that this was a problem that wasn't going away, and it was very prominent. And we wanted to do something about it. We wanted to really address it and see if we can kind of come at this problem from a different way, see it through a different lens. And for those of you who are, you know, familiar with the 3 principles, we actually, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to see this whole issue through that lens. If you pick up any book or take a course on how to find a great relationship, most of them are pretty much focused on giving you tips and tools and strategies and techniques of how to talk to the guy, how to use your body language. I saw another one the other day, how to write really powerful texts, you know? And it's all like this excessive stuff. It's all very surface. Nothing wrong with it. It's perfectly, you can have a lot of fun with that stuff. But it's all surface, and it doesn't really get to the bottom, to the heart, to the core of what's going on with women and how they show up. So that's what we kind of want to have a discussion about here. Lana, I'm going to hand it over to you, because I think you want to say something about, you know, it's one thing to know, to see what's going on. But it's another thing to see, well, it's kind of understandable also that we women are the way we are, right?
Yeah. Del, before I start, do you want to add anything, or do you want me to dive in? Okay. I understand sign language. That's good. Okay. So when we were talking about this, what we realized was we have a lot of messaging as we grow up in our formative years based on some of the stories we've been told, some of the fairy tales that we've all been privy to. And a lot of times, as nostalgic as we are about the fairy tales, about the stories that we grew up on, there was a lot of messaging in there that perhaps wasn't the best messaging, or messaging that has kind of carried on with us, even though we are empowered, grown women that can fend for ourselves and take care of ourselves. So we wanted to kind of have a little bit of fun. This is a bit tongue-in-cheek, but it also reveals some messaging here. That basically there are some issues with some of the messaging in the fairy tales. So let's take a little look at some of these Grimm's fairy tales. Cinderella. Okay, what's the messaging here? She's saved by a prince. Not only that, but she's kind of perfect. She's got a bit of an abusive relationship she's in with her stepmother and her stepsisters, and a prince saves her. Now, the thing that really got me, when you think about it, is, you know, the prince couldn't recognize her without her makeup, but a shoe fitting, oh, that did it. So that was fun to notice that. No makeup, but don't recognize you. And then we've got Sleeping Beauty, who basically she's asleep and a prince kisses her with true love's kiss, but she doesn't know the guy. She was unconscious, and yet this is her true love. So that's nice. A guy can accost you while you're asleep, not a problem. Then we've got Beauty and the Beast. And can anybody say Stockholm Syndrome with that one? So she's kidnapped, she's held captive, and then of course she falls in love with the beast, but also the other messaging we get, not just being saved, but also, well, I could fix him. I could love him enough into being a prince for me. And then we have Snow White. Her beauty, because they're always beautiful and perfect. Her beauty is a blessing and a curse. She eats a poisoned apple, and guess what? The prince saves her yet again. But guess what? She's also unconscious when he saves her. So we've got some strange messaging going on there for women. But how many of us have this like subliminal, deep, unconscious messaging that somebody's going to come save you? Or if I just love them enough, then I can fix them, I can train them, I can teach them how to love me. Or I need to be perfect in order to be loved. Or my happily ever after only ends with being loved by a man. And I know Dell and Linda also have sort of gothic novels that they grew up on that also had similar messaging. Do you want to talk about that?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I know Linda and I have talked about this. We both grew up on Charlotte Bronte's and the sort of you know, Heathcliff and all these like,
Oh yeah.
you know, difficult, unavailable men that our love conquered and warmed up and warmed them towards us. And I definitely resonated with that as a child. And Beauty and the Beast was my favorite too. You know, I grew up without a father, so sort of like it was always that sort of I can make an unavailable person love me if I just try harder and harder and harder, and definitely took that into my adult life. So yeah, and as Linda said earlier, I was a complete drama queen. So anything high drama, unavailable love was yeah, was my poison. So what about you, Linda?
Yeah, Jane Eyre, Mr. Rochester, you know, all these stories, and I still love them, you know. But for me, one of my big issues in life with relationships, like we can kind of look at these fairy tales, right? And we can kind of chuckle at it. Oh yeah, just see the messages and, you know, but the thing is, they do kind of seep in really deeply. You know, it's almost like they become part of our DNA. And for me, I had to kind of really look to see what that programming, how it imprinted on me, because it did have an effect on me. And how it came out with me is that I just, from the early age of when I was 16, when I started dating, I had this very strong belief that there was no way I could live my life without a man. You know, I had to have the guy. And so for the whole, you know, throughout my 20s, 30s, 40s, I was never without a guy. I was either living with someone, dating them, or married. And I deliberately set it up that way so that I would, you know, when I knew one relationship was ending, I had to make sure there was another one there for me to hop into. And I've actually since discovered that this is actually quite common with women. I don't know if anybody here did that, but that was just like something very strategic that I did. It was kind of really clever. I don't know how I did it, but I did. But that was the underlying thought behind that was, gotta have someone there. I do not have the ability to live my life independently. And so I always had a guy, always, until my late 40s, when I found myself suddenly single. But so, you know, we can laugh at this and think, oh yeah, we're above it, whatever, but it's still, these messages go deep. And I think they really, in fact, I know they do have a real impact on women when they are out in the dating world. We see it play out in so many ways. Lana, how did it play out for you in your life?
Okay, with my one relationship, no, actually, it was. I mean, we're in quarantine here, so my husband's like literally right over there. I hope his earphones are in. But for me, it was around boundaries. It was around losing my sense of self in the relationship. And it was sort of quasi Beauty and the Beast. Not, he didn't kidnap me, don't worry. But it was more that I felt responsible for how he was doing. And I felt, when we had kids, I felt responsible for how they were doing emotionally. I took it on as mine. So there was no me left. And unless I carved out space for me, it was just sucked up. It was just, it was like a vacuum. Like there was no, anybody would take it if I didn't have a clear boundary. So for me, the boundary issue was a huge one. Losing my sense of self was huge. Knowing where the line is and that it's okay to even have a line and to have a sense of self. Knowing that was huge. And it still is. It still crops up every once in a while. And I'm like, whoa, okay. And then all the, you know, it's what's a good mother, what's a good partner, what's a good wife, all that messaging in there. If I take time for myself, if I honor, you know, that I have an identity too, and I need to respect that. So for me, that's how it showed up in my life.
Can I just say something? Have any of you ever had the experience of, let me give you another example here of how it impacted me. One of my favorite movies, I think Ali might know this, it's because it's a New Zealand film. It's an old film with, it's called My Brilliant Career. And it's one of my favorite films. And it's set in the 19th century of this woman who's a writer, right? She wants to be a writer. And she falls in love with this guy who's, Sam Neill plays he's the actor who plays the guy, gorgeous Sam Neill. And so anyway, she ends up in this movie making a decision. She has to make a decision. Does she pursue her writing career, or does she go off with Sam Neill, who's going to give her the big house and security? And he's so adorable, you know, he's a nice guy actually, but she has this moment in her life where she has to decide. And when I first saw this movie, I was in my late 30s, early 40s. I wanted her to give up her career and go with Sam Neill. I mean, I was vowing that she would do that. And there was a part of me that was disappointed. And then I caught myself, you know, like, what the heck am I thinking, you know? And you see how deep it goes. This feeling like you've got to have the guy, you got to have the romance, you got to have the marriage. And I was just wondering if any of you have ever had that experience when you're watching something on TV and you're actually, you know, you're actually on the guy's side, not the woman's. I mean, it's amazing how insidious this conditioning is. I don't know if any of you, Lana or Adele, have had that experience of watching something on. It's like you want the woman to fall into the traditional role for whatever reason. I don't know.
Yeah, for me, I I just want to go back a bit about to that sort of rescue fantasy, that we all, when the fairy tales or the stories or whatever it is we heard. And I just want to say that, often when we grow up in like sort of dysfunctional households, what child doesn't want to be sort of plucked out of it and rescued from it? So it's really natural for us to sort of have those fantasies of the knight in shining armor that's going to
Yeah.
swoop down and rescue us, and it's all going to be over. So again, it's just to be really kind to ourselves and see that we were set
Yes.
up for it. It's not there's nothing wrong with us for having bought into that belief. And the same thing that you're saying, Linda, that love conquers all, and that love is, and love is the most important thing to me, but not in the sense of that romantic love where you give
Yeah.
up everything to secure that love, which again, often if we grow up in trauma, we'll do anything to secure that love, as I can attest to. So I don't know, do you want me to go a little bit into the people
Yeah.
thing?
Yeah, talk a bit more. But I love what you're saying though there, Del, because there's nothing wrong with having a loving relationship with a guy. I mean, we all have one. We finally figured it out.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, but just to kind of, say that the relationships that we have now are so different than what they used to be with guys. It's a whole other realm of experience, um, where we've got our own separate identities, and we get to have the icing on the cake. You get to come together. So yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead, Del.
Now, because what I was going to say is that one of the things another strategy that I certainly have, and I know a lot of women have, is the people pleasing. I'll be who you want me to be. I'll be needless and wantless, or your needs are more important than mine, or we become sort of chameleons, and we're really clever. We can suss out what a guy wants, and we show up that way, to be their perfect partner. And then but what happened, I just want to share a little story which I find so funny about my partner that I'm with now, or have been for the last 11 years. I didn't want to date. I'd come out of a divorce. I had 2 children. It had been crazy. And I was just, I was like, my children come first. I'm not interested in dating. If you just want to sort of walk alongside me and do your own thing, my focus is here. These are the people that I love. I'm not up for anything else. But what was so funny about that is I showed up real. I didn't do the whole sort of, false persona of I'll be the perfect woman for you. I was so disinterested in dating. I just was me, warts and all. This is what I want. This is what I don't want. Take it or leave it. And the irony in all of that is I found the love of my life because I showed up real
Yeah.
without this the thinking that I had to be a certain way to be loved. It was I just find that so ironic.
Yeah. Yeah.
It actually got me
Wonderful.
to the relationship that is the most loving, satisfying, beautiful relationship I could ever have. So
Yeah. That's what happened to me actually. And there's no accident that it's about that, settling into your core, knowing who you really are, getting clear what you want and what you don't want, and just kind of like trusting that if you hold on to that, and guide yourself by that, you'll end up with the great relationship. Lana, did you have anything to add to that,
Um,
or?
yeah, and I think even within a relationship, there's an evolution. There's, you kind of grow together, or you grow apart, depending on, how each of you is showing up, what you're realizing, and what you can accept in another. But it is sort of coming to terms with, how am I showing up? Like, am I putting on a facade and having that lead the relationship? Because I can tell you, going down the road, what that leads to every time is resentment. And animosity and dysfunction within the relationship. So it's really getting clean and clear about how you're showing up and understanding what is most attractive to another in a relationship. And it's not what you think it is. It's, Dell's already pointed to it. Like, that's the thing. There's no, you don't need to pretend. You don't have to keep up a pretense. And it was so interesting because the new season of The Crown is on Netflix these days. And I was watching it, and Princess Diana is introduced in this season. My God, talk about fairy tale disasters. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, she had it all. She had the people pleasing. She had, you know, coming from trauma and dysfunction in her background, just wanting to be loved. And throughout it, you can see how she's just trying to be a chameleon to please somebody else. No boundaries, no understanding of how she's showing up, but she keeps thinking she's not enough. And all she wants is to be loved. And the pain that she went through, that we've all experienced when we're not clear on who we are and how we're showing up and what we want in our lives and how we establish our own boundaries within a relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's actually, I just want to give you you guys an example of the kind of exploration we do in this workshop that we're going to be presenting. And I'm going to paint this scenario because this is actually, what I'm about to share with you is actually one of the most common things that women do when they start getting into a relationship, when they first start dating. So usually, you've probably heard this, that women, they kind of make a list of what they want. They have a vision for what they want in a partner, right? And we do a whole thing on listing, because I kind of think listing it's great, but there's a lot of silliness about it too that we kind of cover in the workshop. But generally, women show up, right? And they have a kind of commitment to what they want. And then what happens is they kind of fall in love at a certain point. They just kind of feel there's something different, and they really fall for the guy. And then what happens, not always, but sometimes, the guy starts behaving in a way that's not compatible with what's on her list. And I'm talking about, like, just kind of being, he could not text her, get back to her on time. He's a little bit, you know, kind of lax in his attentiveness. So we're talking about real issues here that really kind of compromise what she wants. And then, so it's at that point where she notices that he's not really complying, or he's not really who she thought he was. She has that pivotal moment, and usually what happens is she lets go of her vision, and she starts thinking, like Lana was just saying, how can maybe I'll just put up with it, you know, he'll change, or, you know, I can get him to change, or maybe it's not such a bad thing, or, you know, so she'll start kind of like watering down her vision and just kind of putting up with it. And it's actually one of the most common and biggest mistakes that women make, because they need to be able to just, you know, keep their word for their own vision, but they water it down and they don't keep their word. And it's at that point where he's kind of got you under his thumb, you know? So I just wanted to share that. So that's the kind of exploration we're going to be doing. We're going to be bringing up all these different scenarios of what actually goes on and how women lose their power. So if any of you have any questions about that or comments, feel free, come, you know, say your piece. But that's the kind of thing we do. Adele, what else are we covering in it? You want to?
Well, I'm doing, as I said, the piece around narcissism and gaslighting and learning to recognize the red flags. But the one thing that I will say is that when we don't feel good about ourselves, we don't realize that our outer world is always reflecting our inner world. So when I didn't feel confident or worthy or anything like that, and I was entering into a relationship thinking the other person would complete me and fill me up with all the things I thought was missing in me, that was actually not what happened. The partners that I would draw in would end up reflecting back to me what I thought about myself. So if I didn't think I was a worthwhile person, they treated me like I wasn't a worthwhile person. If I felt like, it was just amazing to me. They were reflecting back to me how badly I was treating myself. That's all they were doing. They were just showing me how I felt about myself. So that's something that we're going to be working on in the workshop, is to recognize that, and this is what's so wonderful about the principles. It's going to be pointing to what's already inside you. We don't have to work to gain confidence or work to gain self-esteem or anything like that. It's already inside us when we realize it is. And as that comes up and develops in us, automatically we start attracting a whole other different caliber of men into our lives. Men that value us, cherish us, honor us, and follow through on their commitments, even if it's returning a text in time, but things like that. So that I'm really excited to share that. And again, the red flags are huge. And when we want what we want, sometimes we can go into denial and dismiss these things that are glaringly obvious. So we're going to cover that. So that's going to be fun and exciting too.
Yeah, and I loved how you just said, you're going to attract men who honor and cherish you and their word. And what Dell's reflecting really is what you will end up doing for yourself. You'll honor yourself, you'll cherish yourself, you will be your own word, because one of the biggest things is being your own best friend. And that, once you get that relationship, and the biggest relationship you actually have is with your own thinking. And once you really get that, the boundaries will fall into place. The faking it will fall away. The showing up in your presence, in your authentic self, will just be natural to you. And you'll also recognize the red flags of other people out there where you're starting to fall back into old patterns. You'll be like, oh, I know what this is. And you'll back away. It will no longer attract you. So, we're going to be covering a lot in 3 days. It's, we have 90-minute workshops, very intensive workshops, but they're really chock full of information and exercises and story and metaphor that we're going to be giving you over the 3 days. And then, of course, Q&As where there's interaction so that we can address what practical questions you have. So yeah,
so we want to be respectful of your time, folks. I'm learning to say folks instead of guys. I heard that's better, right? Folks. So if any of you have any questions, though, we'd be happy to address them or anything before we leave. Where will the link will be, Del, for the workshop? They can find that where?
The link for the workshop, I'll be reposting the recording of this session, and underneath it you will find the link to the workshop, because it's too long to say here. So
yeah. And so or you can just message any of us and we'll just send you we've got a great little video that kind of describes the workshop. So let us know if you need anything. Any questions?
Yeah, and you can just unmute yourself. There's a small enough group, so just anybody.
Yeah.
In with us.
Questions, feedback, comments, songs.
Oh,
what's the song you want to have? Go forward. What's the brand new song for you?
And also we should mention the cost of the workshop, because it's very, very affordable. So
$79. That's the early bird.
Yeah. Early bird lasts till December 1st, and then it goes back up to 99.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And we threw in a bonus full 90-day workshop on the Monday just for Q&As.
Q&A. all your
90
questions.
minute, not 90 day.
It's a 90-day thing. It's a commitment. We want to be our word here. So
It's going to be at 3 p.m. Eastern time. It's going to be recorded. So if you can't make it, you can just watch the recording. But
Yeah.
it's every class is at 3 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah.
So that's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then a Q&A the following Monday.
December 9th, 10, and 11.
Yeah. So you have all weekend to ruminate and decide what questions you have.
All right. Questions, comments, feedback, songs, favorite fairy tales.
We have lots to share with you guys, because I'll tell you why. We've been the before and the after now. We you know, especially Del and I would say we're cut from the same cloth. We've been through the mill with relationships. So we have a lot to share with you. And this is something that we have clearly, joyfully, you know, had a transformation of in our lives. We've really seen something so new and fresh about how to be in a relationship. And so, yeah.
And Lana has the wonderful advantage of sharing with us what a long-term relationship looks like and
Yeah,
what keeps
yeah.
it fresh and new and rewarding.
And I have to say, the thing I had going for me, which I didn't understand at that young age, but I listened to my wisdom and I didn't know what it was. I just knew. So even though I had other opportunities along the way, like before, I went, no, 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 like, no, 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 no. Okay, gotcha. So yeah, it's very interesting how we all have that inner knowing, that common sense, that wisdom, but we don't always listen to it. We talk ourselves out of it.
So we're going to show you how to turn that volume up, because it's your friend. Okay, I guess we're done here. Thank you guys for listening and showing up. It's a nice little cozy group.
Wonderful. Lovely to see you all again.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.
Lots of love to you.
You too.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.